The men and women in uniform, those entrusted with lethal weapons, must only use them as a last resort and in the defense of citizens, not to execute citizens. We know there are many good police officers, but it's now also quite clear that we have quite a section of rogue police officers.
A while back, we covered the murder case of Top Cohen, and one person who featured heavily in the case since he was Cohen's very close friend and confidant was former Gatundu North MP Patrick Muiruri. But before Patrick lost his close friend, Top Cohen, in 2019, 10 years earlier on 24th January 2009, his son Dr. James Ng'ang'a had been killed in cold blood by a police officer after an altercation at the Crooked Q's Club in Nairobi. Today we unpack the tragic events that led to the death of Dr. James Ng'ang'a, a promising law scholar whose life was cut short by a rogue police officer. This heartbreaking case is a sad reminder that police brutality in Kenya knows no bounds. No Kenyan is truly safe in the hands of the police, the very men and women who are meant to protect us. One thing that stands out in Dr. James's photos is his radiant, unmistakable smile. It reflects warmth, humility, and a quiet confidence. He comes across as a down-to-earth young man, deeply proud of his Kenyan roots and anchored by them, even during his 6-year stay in the UK. Dr. James Ng'ang'a was born on that October 1979 in Nairobi to Patrick and Jacinta Muiruri. He began his education at Hospital Hill Primary School in Parklands, where he sat for his KCPE in 1993 before joining Mang'u High School the following year. At Mang'u, he was not a top performer academically, but he was an exceptional basketball and football player. After completing high school, he enrolled at the Kenya School of Professional Studies in 1999 to pursue a diploma in law. His outstanding performance earned him a place at the University of Kent in the UK, where he began his undergraduate law degree in 2002. He went on to graduate 2 years later, in July of 2004. That same year, he was accepted into the prestigious Queen Mary Law School at the University of London for his master's, where he continued to excel. When he graduated from the university, he became one of the only 2 students that academic year and the only African ever to be awarded a master's degree with distinction in public international law at the university. On graduation day, Dr. James walked proudly across the stage, dressed in a Maasai shuka, carrying a Maasai spear and shield, and draped in the Kenyan flag. As he danced across the stage to receive his degree, he received a standing ovation. It was truly an unforgettable moment that captured the essence of who Dr. James was. Brilliant, bold, deeply rooted in his Kenyan heritage, and immensely likable. Due to his exceptional performance in his master's degree, the British government awarded him a full 3-year scholarship to pursue a doctorate in law at the University of Sheffield. As part of the program, he was also appointed to tutor undergraduate students at the university in international law. After years of dedication and hard work, he finally defended his PhD thesis on his 29th birthday, on that October 2008. His doctoral thesis was on African regional peace and security under the AU's constitutional framework, conflict or compatibility with the UN and international law. A high achiever through and through, he made history at the University of Sheffield by becoming the first student ever to complete a PhD in under 3 years. Dr. James shared his reflections on completing his PhD in his personal blog called the Ng'ethu Star, Ng'ethu being the area he came from in Gatundu North, Kiambu County. In a heartfelt entry in his blog titled, "Yes, I Did It, the PhD Feeling and Dreams," posted on Tuesday, 4th November 2008, he writes in part,
"Overall, in considering my purpose in life, I see myself as an idea that must find expression. In the very least, I hope that my story peels away the layers of doubt that covers many of those that are discouraged by exclusive and bureaucratic systems. Everyone and everyone deserves a chance at the shot, and I must thank all those that have supported me throughout my academic expedition. Everyone should have the chance to see what I said on the very first post of this blog, that amidst life's daily struggles, pain, and endless endearing hurdles, there exists color and beauty, and that the world is both beautiful and colorful. Therefore, it is important to stay close to the personal dreams that befriend you. In my own journey, I can safely say that the willingness to pay the full price for the cost of my dreams and to take responsibility for my life continues to act as an incentive as well as reward for my complete personal maturity.
Going through his blog, it's evident he was a talented writer, and his blog entries are insightful, thought-provoking, and deeply engaging. Through his words, as a reader, you get to vividly journey with him through his academic milestones, reflections on his Kenyan identity, and aspirations. For example, in another entry titled, "I Hope Tomorrow Comes," posted on Wednesday, 7th June 2006, he writes,
After a long thought, I would say to myself that the world is more beautiful and better off with me in it. The more I have grown, the more the world has become more important to me in a personal and profound way. The more breaths I take, the more I feel important to the world. Today, I'm 26 years old. I ask myself, what if I was to lose the world? What if the world was to lose me? Would I remember the world? Would the world remember me? I know that I would remember the world. Does that mean that the world is more important to me than I am to the world? I know that to be remembered by the world, I have to stand for something. I want to live and die for a principle. I know that I have not reached my zenith yet, and it is why every day that I lie on my bed, I hope that tomorrow comes.
Sadly for Dr. James, his tomorrow was short-lived. Less than 3 years after writing those words, his life was cut short in an act of senseless police violence. Outside of his academic life in the UK, he remained deeply connected to Kenya and committed to giving back to his community, where he actively mentored young people. To Dr. James, success meant little if it wasn't shared. In Kibera, one of Kenya's largest informal settlements, he sponsored a journalism club, empowering young people passionate about journalism to tell their stories. After successfully defending his PhD thesis, Dr. James returned home, where he reunited with his family. For him, it was a time of joy and his homecoming as he settled back into life in Kenya after spending 6 years abroad. Then, on Tuesday, 20th January 2009, just 4 days before his tragic death, he published what would become his final written piece, this time posted on his Facebook page. In that post, he reflected on the experience of returning home, the bittersweet transition from the UK back to Kenya, and the quiet pride he carried in his personal and academic journey, from completing his undergraduate degree to earning his PhD. He also expressed deep gratitude to the support system that had stood by him every step of the way, from his family, mentors, and friends. What makes the post so surreal is the tone. It reads like a final farewell as he offered heartfelt goodbyes to his friends and acquaintances. In the post, he wrote in part,
I remain and always will be an external optimist who aspires to live a complete life. As I bid my farewell to my academic and existing social life in the UK, I wish everyone well. I know that although history remains the ultimate judge, there are always ways that one would wish to be remembered. So for the moment, I hope to show that amidst all the partying, crazy times, and occasional madness, it is possible to maintain a sense of purpose and return to your faith and ability to achieve your dreams.
From the post, we also learned that Dr. James believed that having a good time and excellence could coexist, that one could enjoy life while remaining grounded in purpose. As such, he didn't shy away from letting loose and blowing off steam when the moment called for it. Consequently, 24th January 2009, just like many other Nairobians unwinding after a long week, he stepped out to enjoy the night. Elsewhere, on the other side of the city, former police inspector Dixon Munene, then 31 years old and in charge of the Capitol Hill police station, was also looking to have a good time. That evening, he visited his friend, Alexander Chepkonga, a 25-year-old businessman, at his residence in Kilimani. At Chepkonga's house, they were joined by a few other friends, including 2 men, one named Melvin and the other Sagini, who would later become central to the tragic events that would unfold later that night. ultimately claiming Dr. James Ng'ang'a's life. The group enjoyed a chilled evening at Chepkonga's house, and when the drinks ran out, they decided to head out and continue the night elsewhere. Their destination? Florida Club in Nairobi city center. They went to the club in 2 separate cars. Dixon drove solo in his car, while the rest of the group rode together in the other car. At Florida Club, they continued partying until around 4 a.m. The group left the club and made their way to another drinking spot in Westlands called Mobile. After cooling their heels there for a bit, they headed to Crooked Q's, which was a popular late-night entertainment joint on Woodville Grove in Westlands. When they got to Crooked Q's, Dixon remained outside in his car. He was with a woman whose identity was never made public. Meanwhile, Chepkonga, Melvin, and Sagini went inside the club. They found a table and continued drinking. Not long after, they were joined by another friend named Ken. And the night carried on with loud music and drinks flowing endlessly. As fate would have it, Dr. James was also at Crooked Q's, accompanied by his brother John. They were later joined by one of Dr. James's neighbors, Jedida, just a few minutes before 6 a.m. The thing is, fights are almost inevitable in drinking joints when people are very drunk and tempers run high. According to several witnesses at Crooked Q's, a fight broke out at the establishment after Dr. James, who was visibly inebriated, got into a heated verbal exchange with a patron named Tish. The altercation further escalated when Dr. James walked over to Sagini, tapped him on the chest, and asked him if he was gay. The question provoked Sagini, and what began as a heated verbal exchange quickly turned physical. Chepkonga jumped in to defend his friend, while John and Jedida rushed to defend Dr. James. The bouncers quickly stepped in, separating the two groups. One of them escorted Chepkonga outside to the car they had arrived in. The bouncer then remained at the entrance to prevent him from coming back in. After about 5 minutes, the other bouncers, along with Dr. James, his brother John, and Jedida, also came outside. When Chepkonga saw Dr. James, John, and Jedida, he allegedly got out of the car and began hurling insults at them. To de-escalate the situation, John brought their car closer to the club's entrance so he could take his brother home. But before Dr. James could get into the car, Chepkonga allegedly tried to hit him, and the bouncers stepped in to restrain him. At that point, Chepkonga began calling out to Dixon, who was still sitting in his car. Dixon got out of the car, and together with Chepkonga, they appeared ready to fight Dr. James and his group. But Dr. James, John, and Jedida left. Dr. James was in the car with his brother John driving, and Jedida followed behind in her own car. As they approached the roundabout at Sarit Center, they noticed 2 cars following them at high speed. One of the cars overtook them and blocked them from the front, while the other blocked them from behind. Sagini and Chepkonga got out of the car that had blocked them from the front. It's unclear whether Dr. James got out of the car on his own or was forced out, but what we do know is that Chepkonga and Sagini engaged in a physical altercation with him on the road. As for Dixon, who had been in the car that blocked Dr. James and his brother from behind, he stepped out of the car and, in a move that was dehumanizing and arrogant, threw a pair of handcuffs at Dr. James and ordered him to cuff himself. But Dr. James, who knew the law and understood his rights, stood his ground. He refused to comply and demanded to know what he had done wrong. More importantly, he asked Dixon the most fundamental question anyone in that situation would ask. Who are you? He essentially wanted Dixon to identify himself. Without saying a word, Dixon did the unthinkable. He drew his gun and shot Dr. James 3 times. In the chaos that followed at the scene, Chepkonga, Sagini, and Dixon got into their respective cars and fled the scene, leaving Dr. James bleeding on the road. Honestly, Dixon had no reason to get involved in the altercation. It wasn't even his fight. If anything, as a police officer, he should have stepped in to de-escalate the situation. But instead, he did the opposite. By shooting Dr. James, it was as if he wanted to show off, to assert his authority as a high-ranking police officer in front of his friends, a reckless, senseless act that cost Dr. James his life. With the help of a good Samaritan, John and Jedida rushed Dr. James to MP Shah Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Dixon later claimed that he fled from the scene out of fear for his safety. After fleeing the scene, he called his fellow police officers at the Nairobi area central room to report the shooting, framing it as an incident involving someone who had resisted arrest. The officer in the control room who received his call, identified as Wafula, escalated the matter to the OCPD of the Gigiri Police Division, who then proceeded to the scene of the shooting. Several hours after taking Dr. James's life, Dixon finally went to Buruburu Police Station to record a statement. But let's be clear, this wasn't him following due process. It was only after local news outlets began reporting on the shooting that he made a move to officially record a statement. And his choice of police station, highly strategic. Instead of going to file a report at a police station like Parklands or Central Police Station, which were closest to the scene of the shooting, he went all the way to Buruburu Police Station. Why did he do this? Dixon is reported to have been a member of the infamous Kwekwe Squad, a rogue police unit formed during the Kibaki administration to eliminate members of the Mungiki sect and other high-profile suspected criminals. The Kwekwe Squad, which was responsible for numerous extrajudicial killings in Kenya, was based at the Buruburu police station. By going there, Dixon may have believed he could spin the narrative and potentially get away with murder, and he did in fact spin the narrative. As per a 2009 report by the UN Human Rights Council, Dixon claimed in his statement at the Buruburu police station that the person he had fatally shot was a Mungiki member and a bank robber. Dixon may have thought he could get away with murder, but his days as a rogue police officer abusing his power had come to an end. He was arrested that very same day, Saturday, 24th January 2009. The presence of multiple witnesses and the fact that Dr. James was the son of a former MP put pressure on the police bosses to ensure Dixon was brought to book. The police force even moved quickly to distance itself from Dixon's actions by painting him as a trigger-happy police officer who was new to the police force. 3 days later, on Tuesday, 27th January 2009, an autopsy was conducted by government pathologist Dr. Peter Ndegwa. The findings painted a heartbreaking picture. Dr. James had been shot 3 times, each at close range. One bullet struck him just inches from his heart. Another bullet tore through the right side of his chest. The third bullet entered just below his lip, traveled downward through his neck, and exited through his upper back. The manner in which Dixon shot Dr. James reeked of overkill. It wasn't law enforcement. It was a cold, calculated, ego-soothing execution. Dixon was officially charged with the murder of Dr. James Ng'ang'a on Thursday, 5th February 2009. As he was remanded at Committee Maximum Prison awaiting trial, Dr. James was laid to rest just a few days later. On Saturday, 7th February 2009, in Ngethu area, Gatundu North. Shortly after Dixon's arraignment, his friend, Alex Chepkonga, was also arrested. The two were later jointly charged with the murder of Dr. James Ng'ang'a. Chepkonga's main defense was that he wasn't guilty because he did not pull the trigger. As for Dixon, his defense was that of self-defense, an argument he stands by to date. He claims that he decided to follow Dr. James and his brother after they left Crooked Cues because he had witnessed a physical altercation between Dr. James and Chepkonga, in which Dr. James was the aggressor. Believing that a criminal offense had been committed, Dixon says he acted in his capacity as a police officer and pursued the car Dr. James was in to arrest him. He goes further to claim that he intercepted the car, got out with handcuffs, introduced himself to Dr. James as a police officer, and informed him he was under arrest. Dixon goes on to allege that Dr. James resisted arrest, insisting he could not be arrested. prompting Dixon to try and handcuff him. Dr. James then grabbed the handcuffs. A struggle ensued, during which Dixon says he removed his firearm, which didn't have a holster, in order to secure it properly. As he did so, he claims James grabbed the firearm and 2 shots were fired immediately. Dixon then returned to his car and left the scene for his safety. He goes on to say that he contacted the controller to report the incident so it could be escalated to his superiors. Afterwards, he went to Buruburu police station to file a formal report about what had happened. Dixon claims he handled the situation professionally. He denies throwing handcuffs at Dr. James and even notes he wasn't the one who fired the fatal shots. But here's the thing, witnesses at the scene told a very different story from Dixon's. The witnesses reported he shot Dr. James without any clear reason or warning. The autopsy also supported the witnesses' testimony, confirming that Dr. James was not shot by accident and certainly not by himself. The nature of the gunshot wounds, as previously mentioned, revealed he had been shot at close range, with bullets targeting vital organs, an indication that the shots were meant to kill. This is one of the very few cases we've covered where by Kenyan court standards, the wheels of justice stand fast. On Wednesday, 5th October 2011, Dickson Munene and Alex Chepkonga were both found guilty of the murder of Dr. James Ng'ang'a. A week later, the court sentenced them to death, committing them to hang. In his ruling, the judge described their actions as reckless, unlawful, and entirely unnecessary. But what unfolded in the courtroom moments later was deeply unsettling. After being sentenced to death for murder, Chepkonga and Dixon are seen laughing, chatting casually, and even high-fiving their loved ones. They seemed detached from the gravity of their actions and the sentence. Following the sentencing, both individuals appealed the decision, and in February of 2014, Chepkonga was acquitted of the murder charges. The court ruled there wasn't enough evidence to prove he shared a common intention with Dixon to kill Dr. James. While it was true that Chepkonga had earlier been involved in an altercation with Dr. James and later chased him in a car, the court found that his actions did not amount to participation in the actual killing. The court also noted there was also no proof that he knew Dixon was armed and that Chepkonga's pursuit of Dr. James was driven by the desire to continue a physical confrontation, not to commit murder. With that, his conviction was overturned. For Dixon, his appeal was rejected because the court found clear and compelling evidence that he had intentionally and recklessly shot and killed Dr. James. However, the Dr. James murder case was far from over. In 2017, following the abolition of the mandatory death penalty in Kenya, Dixon's death sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. Then in 2018, the High Court delivered judgment in a civil suit filed by the family of the late Dr. James Ng'ang'a against the Attorney General. In the civil suit, Dr. James's family sought compensation for his wrongful death at the hands of police officer Dickson Munene. Taking into account Dr. James's young age of only 29 years, his academic excellence, and his bright future, the court awarded the family 15.85 million Kenyan shillings, which was about $156,000 at the time. The following year, in October of 2019, the High Court of Kenya resentenced Dixon and reduced his punishment from life imprisonment to 20 years, starting from his original sentencing date. In October of 2011, Dixon had applied for a resentencing following the landmark 2017 Supreme Court's ruling in the Francis Murwatetu case that declared mandatory death sentence unconstitutional, specifically in relation to the offense of murder. The ruling removed the mandatory nature of the death sentence imposition in murder cases, allowing for a more discretionary sentencing process. In his resentencing application, Dixon argued that he was remorseful and had reformed during his time in prison. As expected, Dr. James's family was devastated by the outcome, believing that Dixon showed no genuine remorse and continued to deflect responsibility for their son's murder. While in prison, Dixon Munene has remained in the public eye for his educational achievements.
My name is Dixon Ng'ang'a Muiruri, and I'm in inmate here at Committed Maximum Prison, and I'm a student of law from the University of London, courtesy of African Prisons Project. What I can really say is African Prisons Project is a game changer because it has changed my life. It has changed the life of others who are around me by equipping me with education and also facilitating me to help others through paralegal work. So thank you very much, guys, and God bless you.
During his incarceration at Committee Maximum Prison, he earned a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of London, went on to complete a Master's of Business degree in Entrepreneurship, became a Certified Information Communication Technologist, and as of 2019, he was pursuing a PhD in Entrepreneurship. His academic efforts and conduct even earned him the overall Outstanding Prisoner Award in December of 2016. Dixon has essentially become the poster child of reform within Kenya's corrective services system. But as his life moves on and he works on improving himself, that does not take away from the fact that he took Dr. James's life under reckless and avoidable circumstances. As police brutality persists in Kenya today, we leave you with Dr. James's words from his blog, which are profoundly resonant today. He wrote the said words in a blog entry titled "The Threads of My Essence, Full Circle," posted on 19th March 2008. He writes,
For a start, the majority of Kenyans rarely consider education, health, and sustainable development as a platform from which to vote for their future. I will not lecture on the importance of these concepts, given that we, especially those in the diaspora, know they shaped the developed world. Instead, Kenyans largely vote on ethnic grounds. The educated lot are generally the most hypocritical of them all. They will talk about the economy, employment, and then rally behind their tribal leaders as having the best vision for the country. Our fallen heroes and all others that fought for our freedom must stand in their graves. Kenyans let themselves down at all levels. The country's newfound resolve must go beyond mere power-sharing agreements. Most of all, the nation needs leaders that will deliver the Kenyan promise and complete the liberation of Kenyans that commenced time immemorial. In the end, the citizens will be governed, but such rule can only be based on their own aspirations, hopes, and dreams. God bless Africa.
We send our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Dr. James Ng'ang'a Muiruri. May his soul rest in eternal peace. We also take a moment to remember the lives lost in more recent times, victims of police brutality under the current Kenyan government, the Kenya Kwanza administration. Thank you for joining us today. If you appreciated this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to be notified when the next video is up. Until then, please take care, stay safe, and always trust your gut.